It's a dire situation in Puerto Rico in the wake of Hurricane Maria. Widespread damage, water and fuel in short supply. Power and cell phone service is limited at best. Joining us now on the phone is photojournalist Tim Frecha. He's been in Puerto Rico and is now on a Coast Guard cutter off the coast. Tim, thanks so much for being with us. Can you explain to me a bit of what you've been seeing in the situation there now?
Overall, the biggest issues here are lack of communication, lack of fuel. Pretty much 100% of Puerto Rico is without power right now. And equally without phone signal. There are small pockets of cell phone signal, but the vast majority of the island is without service.
Does it seem that people are getting the help they need?
I think it's coming in. There's a big turnout by the big agencies, FEMA, Red Cross, U.S. military here, the Coast Guard. It's a slow moving response. And I think a lot of that has to do with basic logistics of trying to, first of all, assess the situation and then deliver needed supplies. There's a severe shortage of fuel or fuel distribution. So, for example, the Coast Guard cutter I've been on for the last 24 hours has had to pull in and wrap up a bigger cutter in order to transfer fuel from the bigger boat to the smaller boat. So right now, the people I've been talking to on the ground, relief agencies, are having a hard time coordinating due to the lack of communications and lack of fuel.
So we're in days, coming on a week here. I imagine the temperament, the mood, it's all starting to get pretty hard for people, and the weather hasn't been cooperating. It's been in the 90s, right? Temperatures are really hot. People don't have air conditioning. The weather is actually, in some ways, making it a little bit more dangerous, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, it is hot here. What I can say is that so far, the Puerto Rican people have been pretty well behaved through all this. I think they're accustomed to hurricanes. This is by far the biggest one to hit in a long time, but they're accustomed to tropical storms, and they were somewhat prepared for this. So far, people have been patient. They've been helping each other. I think this could become a different story in a week or two.
From your estimates, how much longer do you think it's going to be until we start to see some signs of things on the upswing?
The blow to the infrastructure here is massive. So things will not be back. Business won't be back to normal for quite some time, months at the minimum. I think as fuel starts to, the governor has been saying that there is no fuel shortage. It's distribution that's the problem. And a lot of this has got to do with drivers can't communicate with their companies. They can't make it to work to drive the trucks to deliver it to the fuel station. And, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You continue.
So I think it's going to be quite some time before things are back to normal. Again, the two big issues here are communications and fuel. People can't communicate with their families or with people on the mainland. They can't communicate with each other here. And there's not ready access to fuel in order to get where you might go to start moving things forward. So in a sense, the island is crippled as a result of lack of communications or lack of fuel.
People are commenting on Facebook about family members, and I know you said that communication is one of the biggest problems. Is there a way that people can find out about family members, or is that just not in place right now?
It's really not in place right now. There are a number of, there's numbers, and that have been listed. Somebody sent me something a couple days ago where concerned family members can call to try to locate their family members, but the reality is that phones aren't working.
Right.
So there's that, and then there's websites. I think as time goes on here in the next few days, I would hope some of the bigger relief agencies, FEMA and Red Cross, that kind of thing, will try to set up some kind of a system. I've seen that in the past disasters. But right now, everybody's kind of flying blind.
How long are you expected to stay with the Coast Guard?
I'll be getting off this boat here in San Juan. So I was out with them the last 24 hours. We went to St. Thomas to pick up some Red Cross advance team members and then deliver them to St. Croix. And we've now come back up to San Juan to take on fuel. They were supposed to take fuel in St. Thomas, but they're out there. So we're wrapped it up with a bigger cutter, going to take on fuel, and then they'll be heading back to St. Thomas for Coast Guard and more Red Cross workers.
Tim, you're a veteran photojournalist. You've been around scenes like this a lot. What has struck you the most about this particular hurricane and what's happening now in Puerto Rico?
I think my biggest takeaway from this is, the lack of experience. Like I said, Puerto Rico really hasn't seen a storm of this size for, I think, it's 85 years. And there aren't the basic sort of street-level logistic solutions in place. For example, on other disasters I've been on, when you start running out of fuel, little kids come out and start selling the gasoline out of Coke bottles. That hasn't started here yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've been pretty much at ground zero. You're seeing what's going on. For people like us who are far away, seemingly it feels so far away from Puerto Rico right now, what is the best thing that we could do to help?
I really can't tell you. I would say that probably the best thing to do would be to support whatever agencies are deploying here. I mean, I guess keeping in mind that FEMA, Red Cross, all the big relief agencies have got their hands full right now, from Harvey to Irma, and now this. So I think, one thing is clear is there's what can make it into this island is making it. Other than that, I really can't see anything anybody can do from afar.
But the donations and things that people are doing here, it is getting there, and that is good to know.
Yeah, I mean, relief is getting here. I would say, realistically, the biggest need here is more logistic support. I would say more air support, more boats, more fuel, and more robust communication. And I know that all of the major responders, like I said, are stretched very thin right now between this, Harvey, and Irma.
Tim, thanks for joining us. I know it takes a lot to set up these phone calls, especially where you are. We're talking with Tim Fraicia. He is a photojournalist. He is with the National Guard right now in Puerto Rico. He's off the coast of San Juan. You've been doing some very good work, important work, and I'm sure this is something that will impact you in a personal way. Tim, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
Thanks.